Hey, quick one. Subscribe if you're done being a loser. Let's go.
And only a few number of people almost destroyed the world economy, right? And then we punished them by giving them more of our money. That's the most crazy thing. So I don't have a lot of power, but I have the power to convene. And so I brought together 50 of the best financial people in the world and kind of dug into their brains and figured out what's the common pattern. They're all different that have made them go from nothing financially to financially free. And I want to show people that's still doable because I think most, especially young people today, don't think that's possible. And they're wrong. The system's rigged is what everybody says. It is rigged to some extent, but it's still totally winnable. Life isn't always fair, but it's still magnificent, right? You can still make it magnificent. So the skill sets, it's a science. If you do certain things, you're gonna have too much month at the end of the money, right? You're gonna have stress. If you do certain other things financially, you're gonna be free. That's a science. Your body is a science. Every one of us is slightly different, but there's certain patterns that if you violate them, you're gonna have illness, you're gonna have disease, right? That's what it is. Or if you surround yourself or apply them, you're gonna have a high level of energy, high level of health. That skill is the one that most human beings in the Western world are pursuing. They want to achieve more, and the whole focus is let's get more. And we're a consumer culture, and so as a result, a lot of people do that and they're still unhappy, right? That's because the second skill is more important and is not promoted in Western culture very much, and that is the art of fulfillment. And notice I said art, not science. Because what fulfills you, and I consider you a dear friend, and what fulfills your best friend and what fulfills your kids may be really different, even though you love each other and you're all part of the same family, so to speak. We're all unique in that way. It's like, what does God love? Go to a forest and take a look around. Everything's different. It's ultimate levels of variety of shapes and directions. It's not supposed to be one thing. I think that's the biggest challenge in our culture. We've experienced all this this pain and these shootings and so forth about people who want to shoot other people because they believe something different than them. We've really lost it when we can't have a conversation anymore, or we can't learn to agree to disagree. That's part of, you can love somebody and still disagree with them. I know in Congress, I have friends who were, worked at vice president level and worked at the presidential level and worked in Congress and Senate, and they would fight like hell 3 or 4 decades ago, and they go have a beer together. Now they don't even talk to each other. It's a crazy thing. But my point is, fulfillment is an art, and fulfillment is as different as you and I are. There are no laws to fulfillment, but there are some principles. And one is growth. If you're gonna be fulfilled, you gotta grow. In fact, the whole self-care mentality we have, which I think was important, it was like the antidote to the, what they used to call it, the hustle culture.
Burnout culture.
And people are always stressed. You know why they're stressed? They're hustling just to make money. There's no meaning. When there's no meaning, you can work your ass off and be so fulfilled if it's meaningful to you, if you're doing it for a higher purpose than just money. I'm not saying you shouldn't have money, you should. It's part of a master skill of being alive and take care of your family. But if that's the only thing you're doing it for, you're gonna stress out and burn out. I mean, stress comes from making things more important than they really is. Failure comes from making things less important than they really are. It's an art, right? But the fulfillment side is finding what it is that allows you to grow, because when you grow, you feel alive. I always tell people ask me all the time, they say, what is it that makes people happy? You travel the world and met millions of people. What's the common key to happiness? And I say progress. Progress equals happiness. When you're making progress, you're happy. Even when you achieve it. Like, can you think of a goal you've achieved that you're really proud of, and then afterwards thought, is this all there is?
No.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, you're more purposeful.
Yeah,
of course.
no,
the Purpose Podcast.
No, and you too. No, but as in, I think that's because it's about progress.
Yeah, yes.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Have you ever had a goal where you achieved it and you're out of your mind? Like, out of your mind and good, like celebratory?
Probably not either.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, most people have had some celebration that they've had.
Yeah.
And when they celebrate that, what I always ask people is, you're really celebratory. It was great you achieved it. You were proud of yourself. Great. And I say, how long did that feeling last?
Not long.
And I say, did it last 6 years? No, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, 6 hours. Most people, somewhere between 6 days, 6 hours, and 6 weeks max. Because, why does it go away? Because we're not made just to achieve goals. We're made to grow. We're made to become more. Because when we grow, when we make progress, we have something to give. We have more to give. So it's like everything in the world either grows or it dies. If your relationship's not growing, don't BS yourself, it's dying. If your business is not growing, it's dying. If you're not growing, some part of you is dying inside. So, but I found that when people really grow, they're happy and then they want to share and they have something worth sharing, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at somebody like Robin Williams, I mean, Robin Williams, I think was one of the gifts of our country to the world. He made people laugh all over the earth. He came here to Hollywood, where we are right now. He had almost no resources except creativity. And he said, I'm going to star in my own TV show. Everybody says that. Nobody does it. He did it. Then he said, okay, I want to not only star in my own TV show, I want to make it the #1 show in at least 5 countries. He did it in 9, right? Then he said, I don't want to do TV anymore. I want to make movies. That's more dramatic. And he did. Then he said, I want to win an Academy Award for not being funny, a dramatic Academy Award. And he won. He said, I want to have a family that totally loves me and I love me. He did it. He said, I want to have more money than I could ever spend. And he did it. And he hung himself in his own home. How do you explain that? Now people say he had Lewy bodies in his brain, but he abused alcohol and cocaine and drugs his entire life, staying hyped up. He worked to make everybody as happy except himself. So I really believe that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And you do not have to separate them, because if what you're doing is designed to try and serve something more than yourself, you're not going to be stressed. I mean, when you're trying to serve your kids or you're trying to serve your community or your country, when there's something you care about more than yourself, there's an energy that you have. All suffering comes focused on the self. And ironically, again, I started to mention self-care. I'm not being derogatory towards self-care, because I think it's important to take care of yourself so you can take care of others and take care of yourself. But it's become it's the new hustle culture. Self-care means you're doing something, directing your mind, soul, and spirit to become more, not just checking out, right? Yeah. And so many people are doing it now, and I think that's a huge reason why. I don't know if you saw, I looked it up the other day. I actually brought it in. I want to make sure I had the right numbers. It blew my mind. Yeah, 61% of Gen Z has been diagnosed with anxiety disorder. 61% of a generation. 54% of Gen Z women report diagnosed mental health conditions by American Psychological Association. 34% of Gen Z are currently taking prescription medication, and there's been a 129% increase in the trajectory use of antidepressants among teenage girls since the pandemic. I mean, it's like, there's something wrong here. This mental health crisis is because we think we should do less and we're going to be happier. There was a study done right in the middle of COVID by a woman who wrote an article in the New York Times, and she took people who were miserable and angry and sad and said, we're going to do a time management course with you for 9 weeks. And I'm going to ask that you do more during these 9 weeks. And at the end of 9 weeks, just by feeling in control of their lives, right? 20% increase in life satisfaction, 18% increase in productivity by doing 5 times more than what they were doing when they kept, because the problem with pulling back and taking care of yourself when it's the extreme side, not what you or I would do. I know you have the meds thing you talk about, right? In terms of meditating and eating well and diet and sleep, right? Isn't that the ones you couldn't agree more with you on that. But when people make it like just letting go and doing nothing, I mean, I understand the value of that. But the weaker we get, the harder it gets. It doesn't, like, you don't hit a bottom and now you're okay. You just get weaker and weaker, and now little things are stressful. It's just like the decision making. The more you don't make decisions, the more anxiety you have. The more you start making decisions, the stronger you feel. You feel like you're in control of your life. And all it takes is a few good ones for you to start getting momentum. So I think those 2 skills are the key to a great life. Master the science of achievements. You can study how people did it. Get the same thing with your body or your emotions or your relationships or your finances. But then when it comes to fulfillment, you have to discover what will help you to grow and what will help you to give more and what taps you. I'll give one final little example because it's humorous to me.
Please.
Steve Wynn is a good friend of mine who built most of Las Vegas, about half of Las Vegas. Beautiful.
My favorite hotels.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful man. And Steve is quite a philanthropist, great human being, and a good friend of mine. So we both have vacation homes in Sun Valley, Idaho, for the snow. And I arrived one morning, or one night, the night before, and I got there like 2 or 3 in the morning, and phone rings at 8 a.m. I mean, 4 or 5 hours sleep. Who could possibly be calling me in this home, right? It's Steve. Tony, it's my birthday. I want you to come over today. I said, Steve, I know, but it's, 8:15, 8:30 in the morning. I just got here. He goes, listen, I got this new piece of art. He said, it's unbelievable. I've coveted this piece of art for the last 13 years. He said, I I outbid everybody at Sotheby's, and literally they delivered it late last night for my birthday. You must come and see this painting. I said, all right, Steve, I have one question. How much did it set you back? $86.9 million, $87 million. So I said, Steve, screw lunch, I'm coming for breakfast. I got to see what an $87 million painting looks like. And I'm picturing God crashing through the clouds, some Renaissance image, everything else. I get there, and he takes me in the room and he goes, see? And I look at it, and I understand what it is. It's a Rothko, but it's an orange square. If you've ever seen a Rothko, it's literally an orange square, orange and red square. And I said, Steve, they missed a few spots because it isn't filled in right. He got a little, and I said, this is a Rothko. I said, I know what it is. He goes, yeah, but I said, Steve, I said, give me $100 worth of red paint. Give me a piece of paper. Give me 20 minutes. I think I can do this again. It stirred him up a little bit. He knows I was teasing him. He goes, Tony, you understand? He committed suicide. Started telling me the whole story of the guy. I said, well, for suicide, you should be his blood for $87 million. I mean, come on, right? But the reason I tell this story is he can barely see, but he can have almost an orgasm looking at that. Because he finds meaning in everything.